Welcome to the Mindset Mechanics Podcast with Juan and Ladybug Jenkins. It's not too late to find, face, and fix what's stalling you. The shop is open, so pull on in.
Welcome to Mechanical Monday. You are in the shop. I'm Ladybug.
And I am Juan.
Jenkins.
And we are your mindset mechanics, reminding you that it is not too late to find, face, and fix what's stalling you.
And when you do that, acceleration is inevitable. In today's episode titled Potholes, we are going to discuss the downfall of addiction and how it can destroy your life. So, Jay, why don't you tell the crew listening what we mean?
Yes, indeed. Addiction is defined as physically and or mentally dependent on a particular substance and unable to stop taking it despite incurring adverse effects. Ladybug, can you give the crew an example of what addiction might look like in real life?
For sure. So, guys, let's meet Rochelle. She is a 35-year-old divorced mother of two and a nurse. So she finds herself working extra shifts to provide for her new family without her ex-husband. And during that time, she gets a broken tooth. She goes to the doctor, he refers her, she goes to the surgeon, she gets the tooth removed, and he prescribes her some pain medications for her recovery. So she goes home. A friend comes and takes her two young children to look after them while she gets 2 or 3 days to recover. She takes her pain medicine that night, and when she wakes up, it is well into the next morning. So, two things are going on with Rochelle. There's no pain in her mouth, and she feels absolutely amazing. It is the best sleep she has had in years between the divorce, the two young children, working all of these hours. She barely gets the sleep that she needs. But when she took the medication, she fell into that type of deep sleep where you don't even dream, you don't turn over. Your bowel and bladders lock up so that you don't even have to get up to go to the bathroom. She gets up, she cleans her entire home, and when her children get home, she is ready to receive them with open arms. She can't believe how great she feels. So, as her tooth continues to heal, she takes a little more medication, and then finally, the spot where the tooth is closed up. She feels great. She is not in any physical pain, but she has a particularly rough shift at work one day. One of her children gets in trouble at school. Then her ex-husband calls her and tells her he is not picking them up for the weekend because he has plans, and she finds herself sitting on the foot of the bed, feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, and hearing her children argue in the background. And then she reaches into her purse to get her phone, and she sees the bottle of pain pills. And she remembers that feeling of deep sleep, that feeling of oblivion, of not caring, of not having to worry. And after she gets her children bathed and fed and they're down for the night, she does crack that bottle open and she takes a pill and she sleeps amazingly. And as time passes over the next several weeks, every now and again, she takes a pill just to chill out, just to get a good night's sleep. And eventually, she gets to the bottom of that bottle. And there are, of course, no refills because it was for the tooth, which is long gone, and the space is long healed. So she's at work one day. She's administering medication to her patients, and one of her patients gets discharged. And when a patient is discharged, depending on the rules at your facility, either you pack up those medications and send them home with the patient so that they can take them, but you do not send controlled substances. They are to be either destroyed or sent back to the pharmacy. So this patient is long gone, and she notices that it is the same pills that she was taking for her tooth. So she pops the pills out to destroy them, and she pockets a couple of them. She signs all of the documentation. She's working with someone she's worked with for years. They co-sign that all of the pills have been destroyed, and she goes on about her business. Well, Rochelle is riding home, and she gets pulled over by the police, and they find these pills on her. And she explains that the pills are hers. She just has them in her pocket instead of in the bottle because Rochelle is a quick thinker. So she does end up before a judge. She presents the prescription bottle, explains the situation. They take her word for it. After all, she's a nurse. They believe she's trustworthy. She does have a valid prescription. They don't know that she's taken all of her own pills already and that these belong to a discharged patient. So they drop it, but they do leave a note on her record. And Rochelle goes on about her business. So, you know, well, Jay, what do you think about this situation so far?
Yeah, this is just sad and tough. There are a lot of moving parts and things to consider. There's Rochelle, her children, her patients, and the reputation of her profession to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Man, tell us what happened, bub.
So time moves on. Rochelle realizes she has dodged a bullet, but when the opportunity arises, she does pocket a pill or two. So one day she's at work and the announcement is made that the facility is being sold. Now, this is nothing new. Healthcare facilities are sold often. I've worked in places that changed ownership 3 times in 1 year. But as Rochelle is reading through the email, she notices a line. So when you initially get a job, they check your credentials, they check your license, and they run a background check to see if you have any arrests, if you have anything on your record that is a red flag. So normally when facilities change hands, everything just shifts over. There's a new name on your direct deposit bank statement, and that's about it. But when she notices that line about background checks and drug screens are going to be performed, she starts to panic because even though she had a valid prescription to present to the court some time back, there is no reason for those substances to be in her system at this time. And if they do run a background check, they are going to see that she was, taken in, that she did appear before the court, and it is going to be some red flags. So she is in a bind. She doesn't know what she's going to do. If they run a background check, if they see that this thing has happened with her, it is going to trigger a drug screen. I absolutely promise you, the first thing they're going to do is run a drug screen. And then Rochelle is going to find herself being reported to the Board of Nursing. No license, no job. And she has 2 children and a life to maintain with no help.
Wow. But see, that's the thing about mistakes. You can try to cover them, and it looks like you are, but eventually the truth will come out.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I have a lot of sympathy for Rochelle. Unfortunately, her story is all too common.
Yeah.
The stress of caring for others coupled with the demands of personal life can be overwhelming. And the amount of addiction amongst doctors, nurses, and even law enforcement is amazing.
Yeah.
So what happened with Rochelle? Did she find her exit?
So here's what happened. The first thing that Rochelle did was admit that she had gotten herself into a very deep pit. But she was smart enough to consult a senior nurse that she did not work with, that she knew she could confide in. I have a friend in a situation. Can you give her some advice? I'm asking for a friend. But she also consulted a lawyer familiar with the Nurse Practice Act in her state. And she was very pleased to find out that her state has an impaired nurse program. So what this means is if Rochelle reports herself for having a problem, versus getting busted by her employer, for lack of a better term. They cannot just fire her and report her to the board and have her license taken away. So she is basically going to have to go through a recovery program that is attached to her nursing practice. And so in her case, she is going to have to go to meetings. She's going to have to perhaps see a counselor. It'll be whatever the Board of Nursing lays out. And there will probably be a period of time on her job where she is not allowed to have the narcotic keys on her own. She is going to have to be buddied up with another nurse when she needs to sign out controlled substances for her patient. But at the end of that time, her license will be reinstated in good standing and she will be able to continue on with her life. And this may have been the best thing to happen to her. I had a situation when I was young. I was about 15 or 16 years old. And no, I wasn't doing drugs or anything like that. But I had gotten myself into the place that I was taking things from my job. I felt like they had plenty of money and I wanted things. So I was taking things from my job and I got caught. And that was a very long time ago. That chain of stores doesn't even exist anymore. And I have often said, getting caught in the beginning, when it was on a small scale, was the best thing that could have happened to me.
Wow. She made some mistakes, but she had enough wisdom to not pile more mistakes on top of them.
Yes, indeed. Recovery is a thing, and it reaches, just like addiction, it reaches into every area of your life, your parenthood, how you are as a sibling, how you are as a child, how you are as a professional. And in this case, it affected her professionally as well because she's a nurse. But thankfully, she had a good outcome. So let's take a look in the rearview mirror, Jay. This is where we use the knowledge of hindsight to evaluate our topic. What's in your rearview on this one?
So we're obviously imperfect people. If we live long enough, we are going to do something that isn't wise. The trick is to admit the mistake, look at resolution or repairs, and implement them right away. The worst thing you can do is try to hide the truth and blame others. Accountability goes a long way. What's in your rear view on this one, Bug?
Well, it sounds cliche, but honesty is the best policy. But starting with yourself, being honest with yourself. If you've ever attended a 12-step meeting, which I have, the first thing you have to do is admit that you have a problem because you will not. We talk about you have to find it, face it, and fix it. You will not fix what you won't face.
Wow. 1 Corinthians 6:12 says, I am allowed to do anything you say. My answer to this is not all things are good. Even if it is true that I am allowed to do anything, I will not let anything control me like a slave. Let us know that nothing should be controlling me but the Spirit of God.
Amen to that, sir.
Mhm.
Wow, this was good. Is there anything you want to add?
Yes, don't be ashamed to get help. There is rescue if you want that exit. Reach out to church leadership or National Drug Helpline, and that's 844-289-0879. It is a free, confidential, 24/7 drug and alcohol help hotline. It is open to anyone.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there are also free 12-step programs in every city and state, and now they even have them online. So it doesn't matter how remote you are or where you live, there is help. And these are free 12-step programs for whatever you are facing: sex, overeating, gambling, you name it. Do not make the mistake of thinking addiction is just drugs and alcohol.
So thanks for stopping by the shop. We trust it helped. I am Juan
And I'm Ladybug
Jenkins, reminding you that it is not too late to find, face, and fix what's stalling you.
And when you do that, acceleration is inevitable. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks for stopping by the shop. Tune in next Mechanical Monday so you can get the tools to find, face, and fix your mindset and accelerate your life.